Hey, hi, hello, friends. And I'm back in full peacock glam. Hi, friends. So, I'm back. I meant to actually do a part 2 on the video that I originally posted, but I went through it and there really wasn't all that much that I wanted to comment on, so I figured just let it be. And I figured I'd come back with covering most of what's been happening with Chantal's shenanigans this past weekend. Couple of quick notes before we start. First, I want to give a shout out to Just Saying. You guys know she is awesome, but she's also a friend of mine, legit real life, IRL friend. And she sent me these lovely earrings. Aren't they nice? I really like them. Thank you so much, girl. And the second thing was I got a sponsorship. If you guys are interested, I mean, I don't earn a commission off of this. It's not like an affiliate link or code, but I'll link that down below if you guys are interested. It's for Dossier, the company that I worked with. They make some really, really nice perfumes, and they're inspired by higher end perfumes. So for me, my favorite one has been the one that was inspired by Le Labo's Chantal, and I've been using that a lot. It's so nice. It lasts all day. Highly impressed, and a fraction of the cost because your girl ain't got Le Labo money. Okay. But yeah, if you guys want to check that out, that's linked down below. That gives, my code will give you an additional 10% off. I think it's just for tracking purposes. I don't make a commission off of that. And they're having some really nice Black Friday sales, which is why I've been mentioning it so often. So if you guys are in the market to do some Christmas shopping and get a few people in your life, perfumes or whatnot, check that link out below. All right, on to actual Chantal's nonsense. So I'll be really upfront with you guys. I'm probably missing at least a little bit of context here because I haven't watched all of Chantal's videos. So the last one I watched was Beezin, which means nothing because she uses that title so much, but it's the one where she's eating popcorn. It's the one right before Dancing Like It's 1979. I didn't watch that one. I didn't watch Star Bees that came right after that, or Ouija Time, or Popcorn and Soda. It's too much. It was too much. And this is the one thing I can say for certain. I'm pretty sure that she's actually not seeing / talking to Natter at this point. I don't know where her mental state is in terms of whether or not she wants to get back with him, but I know she's not actively talking to him because of how much she's posting. Her posting becomes a lot more frequent and a lot more intense when she doesn't have any kind of attention from Natter. All the attention that she needs in her life has to come from us because we know for a fact that Pete tends to be a lot more introverted, a lot more quiet, and he does not engage with her in that way a lot anymore. Especially since moving in, I think a lot of the shine has come off of that particular bulb. And so he tends to keep to himself. And when she needs that interaction, especially because she's still, I think, a little bit on the outs with her family, I think that, she comes online all the time because she needs the company because she's lonely. So I believe her when she says that she's not actually seeing Natter right now, and her posting history makes that a little apparent to me. So this video is going to be covering her weigh-in, coffee, and hyper beezing. That's most of what I'm going to be doing. There's maybe a couple of sections towards the end of I'm Good. I'm taking this from the highlights that Just Saying, who's doing God's work, put out, and she covered all 3 of her most recent videos. No, there's one more that just came out today. She covered more Beezing Incorporated as well, but she didn't, but I don't have anything from that video because she's so high at that point that most of what she's saying is irrelevant. She does talk a little bit in that video about justifying I have in the past driven under the influence and stuff like that. I'm not going to address that, mostly just because I think it's really fucking stupid. She has shown us multiple times that she has stuff in her car that she has a vape and stuff, and she doesn't have she has a cannabis vape. She doesn't have a non-cannabis vape, so she's not smoking cigarettes. But even if we're completely taking drug use out of the equation, she drives impaired a lot. She is angry, she is volatile, she is road raging a lot. She's looking at the chats. She's eating with one hand. She's smoking with one hand. All of that put together paints the picture of an extremely distracted driver. So when I looked at it, I was like, this is not worth addressing for me. So I left all of that out altogether. If I choose to bring it up later on, I might, but probably not. I'm probably just going to move on, especially knowing her. She'll have gone live 7 times more since, I put this video out. With all of that said, let's actually get into Chantal's video. Once more, Thank you to Just Saying, because I used her highlights to compose this. Otherwise, I would not be able to get this out, you guys. That's like 10 hours of videos that I would have to sit through. And I can't do it. I simply can't do it. I don't know how other people do it. I'm interested in the larger points of Chantal's life quite a bit, probably more than I should be, but I am not interested in the minutia, the day-to-day minutia of her life. I am also not interested in the 70 minutes that are spread out throughout her video where it's just dead silence because she's nodding off because she is that high. And I don't know if I can do that to myself. I have work and I have, like, you know, partner, and I have other family stuff, and just Thanksgiving is coming up and I have to go fight an old lady for a turkey. Okay,
I weighed myself today, that's why I'm hyper. Listen.
Body weight is 332.2 pounds. Body weight is 332.2 pounds.
Did you hear that? So today I have to be very careful about what I eat. So I'll have coffee. I don't know. I'm like craving pizza.
She is not as heavy as I expected her to be. Mostly just because she's been eating pretty consistently on camera. Though I will say that spending time at Natters has obviously had an effect on her. Mostly, I think, for the worse, but definitely also in terms of her weight, that it's been down, right? It's very hard to eat 6,000 calories. Like, I want you guys to, like, don't try it. I was gonna say I want you guys to try it, but I want you guys to just conceptualize it, right? Like, once I stopped eating a lot of very highly processed foods, right? Not to say that I don't eat any, like I'm drinking a coffee from outside right now. But once I stopped eating like super highly processed foods, I realized it's actually really difficult to eat even like 3,000 calories because there's a volume there that you become really, really full with. So if you're not eating takeout every day, you're not eating fast food every day, eating 6,000 calories can be challenging, right? Like an 8 ounce, I think one can of soda is like 8 ounces maybe, or maybe it's 12 ounces. I don't know. I don't like soda, but it's like something like that, right? But it's only like 150 calories. It's not actually all that much. Now, it's liquid, it'll go right through you, but it's not actually all that many calories. So when you're sitting there and you're eating food that was made at home and generally made by people who care about their heart health, right? Because I don't think, I don't think that Natter cares at all about her health, but I do think he cares about his. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to be making a lot of super high, like, fat foods. And you also have to keep in mind, it's just not what he's probably used to eating, right? Like, my parents aren't what you would call super conscientious. Like, partner's parents, super health conscientious. They're very careful about, like, what they eat. They don't eat, like, almost any red meat. Very, very good with stuff like that. My parents are not like that. They eat more red meat and stuff, but my parents don't tend to eat a lot of fried food and stuff like that anyway. It's just not how they've grown up. They eat a lot more like vegetables at home. They eat pretty much almost entirely homemade food. They have like rotis, right, which is like a special type of flour. It's like a pretty low protein flour, but it's also like really high in fiber, and they eat like a whole grain version of it. So they don't tend to eat very unhealthy anyway, because that's just not, it's just not how they grew up. It's just not foods that they're used to. So they'll eat like out a couple of days and they're like, I'm feeling sort of a little gross now, right? And they'll go back to eating that the way that they normally do. Chantal is very, very used to eating that extremely high calorie, extremely processed food, especially to the detriment of her health and her, honestly, stomach lining, because she's not great at like processing all that crap, right? But she has been eating a lot more home-cooked, normal, quote-unquote, meals at Natter's house. She's been eating foods that are made, designed to be eaten at home by normal people. Now, they might be, like, calorically dense still. And for me, like, I couldn't eat a lot of the foods that he's making, even on his channel, every single day because, first of all, I really like Mediterranean food. So I would have a harder time moderating. But more importantly, when he's making those foods, he's making them for a deliciousness factor. He's making them to be presented on camera. A lot of chefs will do that. They want to make meals that are tasty. Unless they're specifically marked as healthy or something like that, they tend to be tasty meals. And tasty means higher fat, higher calories, right? There's nothing wrong with fat. By the way, this is not me demonizing fat. I think fat's very, very important. And honestly, it's gotten a pretty bad rep for a pretty long period of time in the health community, but it's just that it tends to be a lot more calorically dense than a lot of other things are. At the end of the day, eating food there probably has helped her keep her weight off, even though I don't think that was her intention. And I know she comes home and she eats at home as well, away from him, because she doesn't want him to see that she's still indulging in these vices. I think that eating that food is still keeping her relatively full. And so she's eating less of the garbage at home. Another reason her weight is down, and no one will convince me otherwise, is I still believe she's taking some form of drugs. She hasn't been taking her edibles, which I think were one of the reasons why she was, having a hard time moderating her weight, even when she was taking, the diabetes medication. I forget what the name of it is right now. But even when she was taking that, the reason why she was not losing weight as much as she should be, and why it was mostly the cocaine doing the work, is because she was eating around it. That the high amounts of CBD cannabis products, I don't know if it's CBD or THC that causes the munchies. I have no information about this other than what I've read. But she indulges in it a lot, and because of that, it gave her such high munchies that she was just eating away any effect that medication could have, right? She was taking a lot less of the drugs when she was with him. Let me rephrase. She was taking a lot less cannabis products when she was with him, because I think they were taking something else. They were taking harder drugs, and those harder drugs tend to have the impact of helping you lose weight rather than gain weight the way that cannabis can do. For all things considered, I think if you're above the legal limit, like the legal age to use cannabis products, and you're doing it in a responsible way, there's very little side effects unless you're pregnant. Please don't use them if you're pregnant. There's a lot of studies indicating that it can have adverse impacts on the health of your child. Also, there's quite a bit of information saying that your brain is still developing until the age of 25. And if you're using cannabis products before then, it can have impacts on that. The evidence there is still being kind of weighed out, but I would say just wait it out a little bit, right? Not legally or morally, I don't think it's reprehensible. I just think that you'd be doing yourself a benefit by waiting to indulge in that until you know that there is no harm. Anyway, all that is to say, I don't believe all of this weight that she's keeping off is being done in a healthy way. And one of the reasons why I feel so confident in saying that is how she presents it. Because first of all, she threatens us with a good time. Let me rephrase. She threatens us with a bad time. She's like, oh man, I'm only 3 pounds away from a 24-hour live stream. I will melt down. I think I will have a full-on meltdown if she does a 24-hour stream. I don't know how anybody can be on live for 24 hours. I barely go live as it is because it causes me anxiety, because I'm always worried I'm going to say or do something that I didn't mean to say or do in the heat of the moment. That's why I like having these edited videos, because I've said things on my videos as well that I'm like, ooh, should not have said that. And you know what I can do? I can just go and clip that entire portion out. I like being able to have that ability, right? I talk a lot, and knowing that I have to be careful, because it's not just my information or my life that's impacted here. It's all the lives of the people who are in my life, right? Like my loved ones, and I care about that crap. So I don't know how she can do that, but that sounds horrible. It sounds horrible. It's so much anxiety just being on camera, being watched for 24 hours. It's like the worst. It's like my nightmares, something from my nightmares, like the panopticon, where you're being continuously observed. I would die. Just no joke. But secondarily, she says, well, I have to be really careful about what I eat today. And then immediately she follows that up with, well, maybe I want to get pizza. She puts a very soft limit on herself, and her brain immediately rebounds to, no, reject that. We must eat all the things, and immediately go to pizza. I don't think you should be looking at what you eat in terms of days, right? It's really not a very good idea to focus that hard on what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. A much easier managed approach is to look at what you're eating in a week or in a month, right? One day up or down is not going to make a difference. You didn't gain weight by eating terribly one day. You're not going to lose weight by eating well one day. You know what I mean? I don't normally tend to have coffee, but I'm having a coffee from outside today because it's a local coffee shop near my house. And the reason I'm having coffee here today at home is because I broke my coffee pot and I needed caffeine. And so partner went out and he got some coffee for us. Not a big deal. I think that that's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. And it's okay for me to have a sugary coffee every once in a while, right? I don't do it very often. I get coffee from outside maybe like twice a month because, oh my God, there was a period there where my coffee addiction was bad. And I can't afford to spend like hundreds of dollars every month on Starbucks or whatever. So that's not a problem. So when you're thinking about it like this, when you're still actively thinking about, oh, I have to be good today so that tomorrow my weigh-in will be good, it A, indicates that you're weighing yourself every day, which don't do that. And B, you're not thinking of it in terms of the longer journey. Whenever you're thinking of like food, whenever you're thinking about how you eat, you always want to look at what is sustainable for me in the long term. Can I eat like this for the rest of my life, right? Can I eat whatever you're eating, right? Like, so like say 1,800 calories, which is generally like good for women. Can I eat 1,800 calories for the rest of my life? No? Okay, maybe I want to adjust it a little bit, right? Like for women, 1,800 calories tends to be a pretty good ratio. But if you're 6 feet tall and swim 5 times a week, you probably want to go up a little because I don't think that that's a sustainable model for you. If you are 5 feet tall and don't exercise at all, maybe go down a little, right? It's very flexible. The human bodies come in a lot of different ranges. I'm like 5'5.5", and for me, 1,800 calories is basically just how much I need in a day to feel like satisfied. If I go below that too much, then I can do it for a few days, for a couple weeks, and then I can't sustain that. And that still hasn't really sunk in for her. She has a very one day at a time approach, which is fine when you're initially getting out of the recovery stages. But for someone who's been billing herself as, you know, oh, I've been like trying really hard to lose weight, it's very disconcerting to see that she's still stuck in that very initial thought process.
Chantal, Monty and Madsy are watching. Give Madsy a flash. I'm not going to flash on camera. Here, Madsy! I did not see Natter yesterday, gave her Chantal. And we're not talking about him today.
I believe her when she says that she's not seeing Natter. She might be talking to him offline, but I don't really know about that. Well, she does actually mention a little bit that, you know, she had done something, which we'll get into a little bit later, but that she had spoken to him briefly. But I don't think that she's really seeing him at all. And she mentioned this about flashing. She's like, I'm not going to flash. I don't know who Maddie is. I have no idea. Maybe it's a sub. Maybe it's a cat. No clue. Either way, she has been flashing a lot. She'd been doing that before. She had really been with Natter a lot. And then she did it a little bit in the middle. And now she's doing it again. And I think that this is one of those things that she does for attention online, right? Like, I am not so unaware of what my body looks like that I can flash a camera multiple times without knowing what I am doing. Like, to a certain degree, she has to know that this is a possibility, and she doesn't care. And she does stuff like that to make a fool out of herself on the internet, because it's part of it is that any attention is good attention, but the childish belief that she has. But it's also another part of it is that make fun of yourself before someone else can do it for you. So if I make the joke, then I have control. Then I'm taking the sting out of what you're going to say. It's also the pre-rejection. She talks about, I don't know, I think I left the clip in here, but she talks about Dr. Mike in one of these videos, and she says, oh, I don't even think Dr. Mike is attractive. And then she like goes back, she's like, well, I don't want Dr. Mike talking bad about me. That's why I said that. But that's a very true thought. Because sometimes it's easier to go out and just say, oh yeah, I don't even think that person is attractive, even though you might not necessarily feel that way. Because the idea that that person could turn around and say, well, I don't think you're attractive either, is really painful. You would rather be the person to say, I don't like them, than have someone turn around and say, I don't like you. I think the best example of that is when I had gone to Yellowstone, I saw a lot of people wearing shirts that said stuff like, if you don't like Trump, then you don't like me. And I'm okay with that. And I remember having this thought to myself that if I wore a t-shirt that said pretty much exactly the same sentiment, but worded slightly differently, like if it said, if you like Trump, then I don't like you. And I'm okay with that. I wonder how much of a different reaction I would have gotten, because it's all about control, right? It's all about who has the power in that situation. And Chantal is, for all intents and purposes, unable to deal with things that are out of her control in a healthy manner. And so she does it by self-deprecating humor and making essentially as much of a jester out of herself on the internet as she can. Make fun of it before others can, and this way you are the one that comes out on top.
We're talking about moving on. Yeah, I feel like I feel peaceful is like the way I can describe it. I don't know. I feel like I'm on vacation. Is that weird? Like, I really feel like I'm on vacation right now. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. Beats is in his Beats. I'm calling him Beats now. Beats is in his room reading. So I think I don't know. He seems happier because I know he said he was always like, well, people have been buying him books. So
I'm glad that that at least she has kind of peace right now, because it does seem like for the first time since her and Natter have gotten together that she seems to actually be making an effort to like not talk to him. She seems to actually be making an effort to break up with him, and I'm glad about that, genuinely. But I'm like looking at what she's talking about here, and she says something here that confused me a little. She's like, people are buying the books. Has Pete's put out a book or something? Does someone know about this? I don't watch Pete's live streams, mostly because I find them intensely boring. Not for like moral reasons. I don't think there's anything really wrong with supporting Pete's. He's going through a hard time. He's trying this. He's just intensely boring, and he talks a lot about stuff that I don't particularly care about. Right? Like, I have opinions about Cowboy Bebop too, like negative ones, but I don't. His analysis of the situation wasn't anything that I thought was worthy of my view. If that sounds really pretentious. What I mean is, I don't think he has anything to say that I care to hear. You know, I'm sure he didn't like it. Most people who are fans of the original of the anime didn't like it, but I don't really think he has like the chops to break it down the way that I think some of these other creators do. That's why I like hearing about them. So like Lady Knight the Brave, I don't know if she's going to cover it. I hope she does, because I love her analysis videos. Or Curio, or any one of the other bajillion media dissecting people that I follow, right? Or, Friendly Space Ninja. He's great. If you guys don't know, he's great. And kind of has these glasses that make me think of The Weeknd. So, I don't know. Maybe I want to check him out. These are huge creators. I'm not going to gate anything by throwing their names out there. Anyway.
I'm showering 2 days in a row. I'm showering every day from now on, because I do feel better after I like get my ass out of bed and like force myself to do shit I don't want to do.
Wow. She's like, I really do feel better when I like force myself out of bed and like make myself do things that I might not want to, because I'm amazed that she's just now picking up on this. Everyone has been screaming it in her direction for like days and days and days. We're like, hey, you'll feel better if you actually take initiative and do things even if you don't want to. And it like is amazing to me. This is the first time she's come across this information. So much so that it feels a little ingenuous. Secondarily, you can see how much Natter's words affect her, because she's saying, we're going to shower every single day. Look, you shouldn't let someone else's opinion of you impact you to that degree. I don't give a crap what most people say and or think about me, right? There's very few people in my life whose opinions of me, what I look like, of the massive amount of makeup I like wearing on my skin, or the acne that I'm currently suffering. It's right here. I'm going to name her Mrs. Darcy, because Mr. Darcy gets a lot of love, but I think that once she marries him, she isn't diminished in any way. You know, I think Elizabeth deserves a little bit of love. Okay. So I don't really care. It's just not a thing that I think about, right? So the fact that she's still so highly impacted by his words, even though he said them so flippantly, there was one comment that he made, it's like really worrying to see just how much control he has over her, even though she's not physically there. And this is going to sound kind of mean, and I apologize in advance. If you are a bigger person, be a little bit careful about the showering, right? I mean this as a person who's been like significantly heavier than I am now, and someone who's been significantly lighter. When you are a heavier person, you tend to sweat a lot more. All that fat generates a lot of heat. That's why you don't need a jacket in the winter and stuff like that. That's why she seems to be hot all the time, right? You need to be careful, because you sweat a lot more because of that heat than other people do, and sometimes you can be stinky because of it. That's not to say that all big people are, but a lot of times it can happen, right? When I was heaviest, at my heaviest, I used to like take a I don't know what the term is, body bath is kind of the way I've always put it. Like, not wash my hair, but I would wash the rest of me every day. I don't do that quite as much anymore. One, because it's cold here, and two, because I don't need to, since I'm not leaving my house. I'm not really getting sweaty or smelly. I'm sitting in like literally a climate controlled home all day. But if it's the summertime, I do it again. Every day I will like body bath. I will like wash off, because I know even now, even though I'm significantly lighter than she is and significantly lighter than at my heaviest, I still generate a lot more heat than like a skinny person would. And because of that, sometimes I can smell when I've had exercise and or heat, right? This is like the unpleasant things that people don't really like to talk about, but it is true. So it's something you have to be mindful of, because for all that no one has the right to judge me, it's also kind of unreasonable to expect people to just be okay with smelling your BO all day.
I'm kidding. I didn't like the timers, actually. They pissed me off.
Okay. Context. She's talking about Karate Joe here, by the way.
Actually, he pissed me off a lot lately. Like in the more recent times. You guys know. Yeah, he became really creepy. He just, like, lost his mind. Like, I don't know. It was weird. He's weird. Anyways.
This is her actively rewriting history. She was here just a few days ago expressing sympathy for Karate Joe. And for all that, she does not like him. And I stand behind that. I did not like Karate Joe well before anything was released about his personal information, about him being, you know, a PDF file. Because he always came across as being very controlling of her and very off-putting. That said, he was maybe the best guard dog that she had. The best guard dog. He was so aggressively in her favor all the time. He would block people for simply saying something that might be construed as slightly negative, right? He was an attack dog. That's pretty much what he was. And she didn't say anything about. She would often have tiffs with him, but she would often also immediately make up with him, because she recognized his usefulness. She recognized his utility, even though she wasn't a fan of him. So the fact that she's now here and she's saying, well, you know, he's being really weird and I didn't even like him the last few months, that's actively not how it happened. And we have video archives of that. We even have video archives of you defending him after all the information was leaked about him being a PDF file. So this is gaslighting. This is what people say when they say that you're actively gaslighting, right? This is gaslighting. We saw what happened, that despite you not maybe liking some of his behaviors, and by the way, she often asked him to set those alarms that she was complaining about, right? She would ask him to set those alarms and get mad when he tried to tell her, hey, your alarm's up, log off, right? And she was always there saying, yeah, you know, where's Karate Joe? Where's Karate Joe in my comments? She was always one of his staunchest fans, admirers, because of how staunchly he defended her. And even after his information was released, you were there, like, backing this fella up. So don't be coming onto the internet now and saying, like, oh, yeah, he was so awful. I didn't even like him all that much, because now you're actively trying to rewrite what happened. And we were all there. We all saw it. When she comes on and she says, I don't even know what gaslighting is. Buddy, you're like a pro at it.
It's not deep and yeasty. It's deep and yeasty.
Nobody explained this to me. Nobody explained this to me. I do not care. Whatever it is, it sounds gross.
I shouldn't have told you guys that. Like, that's inappropriate, right? Or no? Like, why do you tell everything about our sex life? Everything, nothing secret? It's kind of true, in a way. Right? But it's funny. It's a cool, funny sex move. I don't know. Sex joke. It's just a joke. Jesus, was her train wreck of life online? Well, I chose... you know what it is? It's not that I choose to post my train wreck life online. It's I choose to post my life online.
I'll let her finish this thought
first.
Which
just happens to be a train wreck.
Okay. She talks a lot about how, like, she has this whatever... deep and yeasty, whatever that is. I have no idea. I don't care. She talks about this, and then she immediately segues into talking about how, well, you know, I'm, you know, I do talk a lot about, but I talk about my life, you know, that's just how it is. I just think it's funny. Look, there's a lot of stuff that happens in my life that I think is abjectly very funny that I could share with you. One of the reasons I don't is because it's not my story to tell. Most of the time when stuff like this is happening, there's other people involved, right? You guys know this, I don't do a lot of stuff. So like, I'm not a very like high energy person. I don't like club or anything like that. I have like some pretty standard stuff that I'm doing, like at Friendsgiving, we do game nights, like normal nerdy shit, right? And there's a lot of like weird banter and humor that goes on there. And I actually think we're a pretty fun bunch. And sometimes I think, oh man, it'd be great if I could share that. But the problem is that to do that, I would have to reveal information about my friends and family that I don't think they'd be comfortable with me sharing. I respect that boundary. And I don't show it, right? One of the reasons why even though I'd mentioned I might do like a vlog of my trip to Hawaii, I ended up like not doing it. I still haven't done it. And I'm very hesitant to do so is because I didn't go on that trip alone. Partner was there. And so I think about it and I think to myself, is it okay for me to be talking about something that was a shared experience and potentially sharing bits of his life inadvertently that he might not be okay with sharing? That's what I come back to. So it's a thing. It's about respect. It's about respect and it's about being conscientious. If you're not careful and you're not respectful, you're much more likely to let something slip. The last part of that is just the frequency with which you are in a situation where you cannot retract things that you say. That's why everyone keeps telling you, hey, do recorded content, because then you could avoid this problem altogether.
However, I think behind the scenes, most people are. They don't show it on public. But a lot of people aren't and have it together. And I'm hoping maybe someday I don't want to be perfect. I just want to be functional and healthy and not.
Look, the thing is, most people aren't a hot mess behind the scenes, right? Most people are struggling with things in their life, absolutely. But there is a very big difference between having struggles and challenges in your life and having a chaotic, disorganized, dysfunctional life, right? Most of us don't live the way that Chantal does, not because of like availability, it's because we choose not to. Most people like would not want to live the way that she lives, even if they had the opportunity. And those who are would want to live like that can't, because they have to go to work, they have traditional jobs. And so when she said, she's like, well, I think most people are a mess behind the scenes. No, not really. I don't think so. Like, I have stuff that I'm dealing with in my life as well, and I'm sure most of you guys do as well. But I think to say that it's a mess would imply that I have let everything in my life spiral out of control. Stuff goes wrong in my life, and then I work to address it, right? Went to go find a turkey, could only find small turkeys, bought 2 turkeys. One is currently in my fridge with a dry brine. The other one is going to get a wet brine and go into somebody else's fridge, right? Something went wrong, found a way to address it, and then I moved forward. And that's how most people are. They have stuff in their lives. Maybe this was a very short term, very small thing. But sometimes it's like, all right, I had to buy presents for everybody, or I lost my job and I had to put everything on a credit card, but now I'm slowly addressing it and I'm going to get out of debt, right? It's people put together plans of actions for their life. They don't just let their life snowball like that. Very few people do that, because people actually like being able to move forward in their life and get out of the situation that they're in. I would say the majority of people don't particularly care about wallowing in their misery for prolonged periods of time. And I know that she has mental health concerns that can make it a little bit more easy, but this is one of the best things to come out of 2020, I would say, is just the awareness of mental health of the people around you, right? Like depression, anxiety are a lot more common than I think people realize. I know so many people in my personal life who, once I opened up to them about my own personal struggles with anxiety, were like, yeah, like I actually also suffer with this thing. I had a great friend of mine tell me in so much detail about how she suffered with postpartum depression after having her baby. And so I understand that having mental health concerns can make this stuff much harder, but to think that this is how people live is incorrect. And the reason why I think it's so problematic is because this is how she uses to justify having a terrible behavior. Remember a little while ago where she was like, well, you know, I think a lot more people are broke than they actually are. She does that a lot, where she generalizes to everybody to make herself feel better because there's something happening in her life and she wants to, she's like, I'm not the outlier. Everyone goes through this. Everyone goes through this. This is normal. And it's not normal. And until you can recognize that it's not normal, you can't get together a plan of action to fix what is going on in your life. You have to have a realistic understanding of the situation around you.
Not even just for myself, but because I see how it hurts other people, like people who love me. So I have an admission.
Not at all. She doesn't care about the people who love her outside of how it impacts her, right? Oh, my family isn't talking to me because of how I behaved with Nat, or oh man, you know, that kind of a thing. It sucks for her because her family won't talk to her because of the Natter situation, but she doesn't actually care that her family is hurt by her actions.
Of something actually, I don't know if I should say. It's one of those things I don't know if I should say. It's not like, it's something bad I did. And I do feel bad for it. I deleted his live stream out of anger when I was watching it on replay after I got off live. I went and watched some of it, and I was just like, I just got really, really mad, and I deleted it. But the only reason I was able to do that, I don't have his password, but like I logged in, and it stayed logged in since, to help him edit and like upload and stuff like that, right? So I was just really mad, impulsive, and I opened my browser and his YouTube was there, and I just said, you know what? It was impulsive, it was stupid. It's still not something good to do, like it's his channel and it's not right to do that.
See, I think the reason she brings up a lot of this information, because she can't possibly think that people will be in her corner for the most part, like the wider internet, I mean, right? I don't like Natter, and I personally think he's an absolutely garbage fire. But when it comes to doing shit like this, she should not be doing that. It's his channel. It is, especially if it's not under her control. No, and it makes her crazy. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? You were upset that he was threatening to delete your channel. Now you're going in and deleting videos off of his. And be very careful about like how you interpret the situation, I think, because on the one hand, she's like putting on this show of being contrite. I don't think she particularly is very contrite. She talks about how like he called her later on and he was like so resigned and so sad about the fact that she deleted his channel. He wasn't any of those things. I think he was probably mad at her about it, and I don't think she wants to make him mad, which understandable. But she's also doing this to put on a show of how contrite she is for him, because even though I think she's trying right now, I don't think for a second it's going to last. And I think the only reason why they are quote unquote broken up right now, is because he doesn't want to get back together with her. And I think that if he was willing to give her a shot, she would go back 100%. That's why she goes back and forth between being so angry at him and between like being like contrite and like framing it as, oh, we broke up and it was difficult and blah, blah, blah. Because she's still hoping to get back together with him. Last but not least, this is probably true, and he's probably going to mention it at some point on his channel. He's been using Chantal a lot to like, not clickbait, really, but like draw in additional viewers. That's the only reason why he's getting as many views as he has, is because of his affiliation with Chantal, and he's like baiting us with that information so that people will come and they'll see what kind of drama he's stirring up about her. And he's probably going to bring up this on his channel as well. And so she's like, let me get out in front of it. Let me put this information out there. And this way people will be prepped for it. They'll already know how contrite I am. So when he's talking about it, you know, then I can say, and then she's also gotten her story out first. Because then, you know, if he says something different, like she went out and she did this like this, she can say, well, no, I already told you guys about it. I'm not a liar. Why would I have shared that with you, you know, if I was going to lie about it? This is what happened, and he's lying now. And I think she's very much capable of that. For all that I think he's a better manipulator than she is, I 100% think that she's capable of this.
That's what I did. I feel like a shitty person for doing that. He was mad. Like, he was just like, why did you delete my video? He wasn't upset. He sounded more hurt, like, just like defeated. Like, like tired. Like, I trusted you with my password, and well, that's it. Like, if you deleted my videos, but I don't know, because I do have a lot talking about him, but.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing she doesn't often recognize. She always says, well, it's like, I do have a lot of things to talk about him, but, and then she never completes that thought. And it's definitely like on purpose. She doesn't want to reconcile the fact that if someone did what she's doing to other people to her, she'd be furious and upset. Because to her, she's the exception to every rule. Because in her head, she's like, well, I didn't mean to do the doxing, therefore it wasn't like therefore it was like fine, you know? I didn't mean to blah, 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 therefore it's okay. She can justify her own actions, and therefore it's okay that she did it to other people. But when someone else does something like this to her, she's unwilling to extend them even a mediocre of courtesy or sympathy. Hence the whole Sharon situation. Shannon situation. Right? And I don't for a minute think that he called her and he was like, oh, why did you do it, Chantal? I think he called her and he was fucking pissed at her. And I think this is damage control on her part.
You guys think I lie all the time, and I don't. That's the thing. You're making things up that don't even exist half the time. Like the fucking washer, the broom, shit like that. Never happened. He changed.
Okay. When you make up theories about why Chantal is doing something that she is doing, especially the more outlandish ones, and you push for them, like, I'm talking about stuff like saying Amber never had cancer, stuff like that. Like, don't do shit like that. The thing is, all of these creators do so much without any of that information that we can hit them completely cleanly. I mean this metaphorically. I can talk about all the stuff that Chantal does that's right there out in the open for everybody to see. I don't have to delve into conspiracy theories to make her look bad. She makes herself look bad every single damn day. But when you do stuff like that, you discredit a lot of the arguments that everybody makes, because then she can come on and she can say, look, people make up stuff like this about me all the time. She uses one small piece of information that is obviously false and uses that to paint everything as being false. And most people won't fall for it. 100%. Most people are intelligent enough to understand that. But some people will. Some people will not see the fact that, you know, she is obviously conflating issues together to distract from the fact that some of these accusations are true. Just be cautious, right? It's all fun and games until she uses it to avoid responsibility for actually important stuff, like using drugs while she's driving.
Is mine. No, that's different. Saying, I want you to, so this is what you think is a lie. So if he called me and said, so this is what he thinks is a lie, okay? For example, me telling him the day before, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to be there at 2. Then the next day, something happening or me not feeling like it and needing more time, then he would be like, well, you lied to me. You said you're going to be here at 2. That's not really a lie. Like, because at the time I was going to go over at 2. Do you know what I mean? I can't change my mind that she was there. Exactly. He can't change his mind that he was there, that I was there. It's not the same thing at all.
Okay. I hate to give him, like, any kind of, I hate to be in any way, shape, or form seem like I'm defending Natter, because I'm not, because I don't like him. But I will give you this. If Chantal behaves the way that she does with us, with him, I can understand why he would get mad. And for a person who has control issues and who I genuinely think is abusive, I think that that would make it much more easier for him to indulge in the negative aspects of his own behavior, right? Like, this is one of the things that I find so difficult with Chantal, is that I find her to be a vulnerable person a lot of the time, but she's just so goddamn unlikable that it makes me not want to extend any sympathy towards her anyway. So when she's sitting there, she's talking about how, like, well, she said she'd be there too. And then the next day she's like, well, I didn't want to go anymore. So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to be there. It doesn't matter. You think that being a flake is, like, not the same as being a liar. It's only flaking, or it's only changing your mind if it happens a couple of times, right? If I plan something with partner, right, and I just keep telling him every time that the plans come up that I don't want to do it, at some point it comes across that it seems like every time we have this plan, you decide you don't want to do it and you change your mind. You should know that you're not going to do it and stop stringing me along. You have to be able to predict your own behavior to a certain extent. So when you come on here and you say, well, I just changed my mind, you can do that once or twice with something. After that point, you know you're not going to have any follow through and you're just stringing everybody else along. And that's where it becomes a lie, right? I can say, okay, well, you know, I'm not going to buy a new palette, right? I don't need a palette for the rest of this month, right? And I do that 1 month. And then the next month I'm like, oh, I don't need any more makeup this month. And I buy something again, right? If I do it once or twice, or like, okay, you know, maybe she just changed her mind or she felt like really indulging in something, blah, blah, blah. If I do that every month where I set a goal for myself that I'm not going to buy anything this month, and every month I go ahead and I break it, at some point, that's not a real resolution. I'm lying to myself because obviously I have no intention of following through with it. That's why it's a lie. And she knows this, right? She's not oblivious to this fact. She's actively choosing not to acknowledge it because acknowledging it makes her look like a piece of shit, which she quite frankly is.
You promise it's done and then go back. That's changing my mind. That's having feelings for somebody and not being able to turn my feelings off. Sorry. Like, I don't know what you want me to say about that. If you want to think I'm a bad person for that, go ahead. Millions of people do it every fucking day.
I don't know if she's saying millions of people think badly of her every single day, which I don't think millions of people think about her at all. Thousands maybe, yeah. And as for go back to their exes because they have feelings for them, no. Millions of people don't do that. Some people do that. Some people do go back to their exes because they're trapped in like a cycle of like not being able to break free, right? But not everybody does that. Most people, I would say, when they make a clean break, they just make a break. And they take active steps to protect themselves from making a mistake later on in the future. And they have friends and family help them with that, right? Like, I had a really messy breakup, and my sister took my phone from me for a little bit, and you know, like I had friends be like, okay, we're gonna block his number, everything he gave you, give it to me, I'm gonna put it in a box, I'm gonna mail it back to him so you don't have to think about it. You do all of those things. No contact, no talking back and forth on social media. You cut them out of your life, especially if it's a toxic relationship. Toxic, by the way, does not mean abusive. We'll maybe talk about that at some point in the future. There's a big difference between the two. But if it was a difficult relationship and you've broken up now, you have to take preventative measures if you know you're going to behave in an irrational manner. Like I am prone to doing that too, especially when I was younger when this happened, right? Because I am prone to lashing out and just being mad at people. So when she comes on here and she says, well, that's just changing my mind, you didn't take any protective measures because you knew you were planning on going back. You don't want to call the cops when he does something shitty to you because then it burns that bridge forever. Your actions betray your intentions. You have no will to follow through with these things, which is why you do everything half-heartedly. And then you can't come on and say, I changed my mind, because you never changed it in the first place. You're not changing your mind back to wanting to go back with him. You never changed your mind. You never made up your mind to break up with him to begin with because you have no follow through with anything.
Well, if you ex, go for yourself, asshole. You're a piece of shit. Who else wants to be blocked? Anyone else? I'm not in the mood. I'm honestly not. Elle, you can go. Bye. I'm sick of you. I'm not unblocking these people either. They have no reason to be here. So I'm gonna get offline for now because I'm emotional and I don't feel like being online. So, bye.
Okay, this is the end of her first video. The, God, what was that video called? I forget. This is the end of her first video. And then now it's going to go into the, okay, like the weighing one. And then now we're going to go into, okay, I'm good. And then the last video that I have not included, even though it was part of just saying clips, is more Beezing Incorporated. I didn't include anything from that.
Pupil, I had some of these. Jane's gummies. Fruit punch.
Okay, I just want to point out with these gummies, the reason I've left this clip in here is because she said that she had some of these gummies. And she had mentioned in the other video that she was going to take that she was going to eat like 1 or 2 gummies. These gummies are each 25 milligrams.
I think I took too many. Actually, accidentally.
Accidentally, it's not accidentally. She says, she admits she took 10 gummies and then she's like, so it's like 200 mgs. And then she's like, no, I think I ate 8 because yeah, I only took 200 mgs. I don't think she ate 8. I think she ate 10 because she is so blasted. Like you'll see the speech is slow. She's slurring. She's like actively very, very droopy eyes. Her voice changes, her behavior changes, everything. And I think that the last video was probably a little bit of a cause for it, right? There are people on there who were giving her a hard time, deservedly, I think. And she can't handle her emotions. She has no outlet for negative emotions at all. And so instead she went and she took a bunch of drugs and then she came back on camera, as she does, because she still needs the attention, right? If you really, really want to protect yourself, you should not be on camera at all. put down the camera, stop the lives, and go only do recorded content until you think you're capable of being on the internet. Turn your likes, dislikes ratio thing off, turn your comments off, and just make videos on your channel that are pre-recorded where you can control the topics. But that would require effort on your part to want to get better. And much like breaking up with Natter, this has no follow through either, because she doesn't actually care about getting better. She doesn't actually care about not putting herself in that situation. All she cares about is what's easy and what brings her joy in that exact moment. And what brings her joy right now is attention. She wants the attention from the internet.
Stop it. You know I'm sad. Stop. Like, I think I need to just stay offline. Whoa, like, I need to stay offline because I'm really struggling with, like, it's not anyone's fault because obviously this is public, so people are going to talk about it publicly. But maybe I should stay offline a bit until I'm, like, really ready to talk about it and just do videos and, like, not read comments for a while. You know, like, do recorded content for a while. Because, like, like, I think my body's addicted to him, like, his body, like, I don't, you know what I mean, like, in a physical way. It's so, and it feels like that. It feels like you're stopping something you like to do. It's hard. That's all.
I understand that she's struggling, and I'm sorry that she's struggling. I'm sorry that she's having a hard time. But at the end of the day, your emotional response is not my responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the internet. If you know that you can't handle something, if you know that it's going to upset you, A, don't put the information out there. But B, if that's already happened, take the best steps you can to protect yourself. You have to be your number one advocate for everything in life. And that's the problem that I have with the way that she's behaving right now. She is making her emotional state everyone else's fault. She lashes out at people when they ask her questions, but then you come on here and you've enabled VIBs to ask you questions. That was the entire point of having VIBs, right? You pay the $4.99 a month and you can ask me questions in live chat. You don't want that anymore. You can't handle it right now. You know how to fix the problem. You just demonstrated that to us. But you don't actually have any follow through because that would require work. And once more, you just don't care enough about yourself to do any of that work. You know? That's why it makes it so hard to extend you that courtesy. I cannot be expected to care more about you than you care about you. You can't expect me to put in energy and effort when you are not willing to do so. A financial advisor can only give you advice. A trainer at the gym can only give you a diet plan. They can only give you an exercise plan. A dietitian can only give you a diet plan. At some point, you have to take up the mantle. You have to carry that baton across the finish line. You have to take the advice. You have to follow the exercise regime, and you have to stick to the diet plan. If you don't, then nothing will change. And that's where we are right now. It doesn't matter if people are willing to extend you that amount of effort. You have to extend you that amount of effort. And until you do that, no one can help you. All right, so that will be my video for today. I don't think it was as long as I thought it would be, so I'm kind of proud of myself, especially because I missed a bunch. And yeah, her lives are going to be a lot for a little while, especially if she does stick to it, which I'm hoping she does. I genuinely, like, for all that I complain all the time endlessly about her, I really hope that she sticks with it, and I really hope that Natter's channel dies, because I do not like him. I think he's extremely toxic, and I think he's going to use YouTube as a way to continue to hunt for more vulnerable people. And for all that I think that Chantal is a garbage person most of the time, I don't think anybody deserves to be in a domestic violence situation. So that's where I will leave that. If you guys are interested, once more, my link for the dossier is linked down below. I want to say thank you to all of my patrons. You guys already know most of my spiel, right? Thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, like. I want to say thank you to all of my patrons. You guys have been so patient with me. You guys are great, honestly, and I love you. I have realized the problem with the mic situation. I'm not going to be able to use that until I get a camera. I am pretty close to getting the camera that I actually want, because the camera that I wanted was out of stock because of supply chain issues. And so I'm not going to be able to, unfortunately, get the camera I want for a little while. When I do, I'm excited, because then I'll be able to hook my mic up to it. But this mic is not really compatible with with my phone. So yeah, but I want to say thank you to you guys because you guys made it possible for me to get the mic to begin with. So like, I'm incredibly grateful. And as always, oh, no, wait. Before I say my outro, I want to say a special thank you to my $25 patrons, Oceana Songs and D. Higgins. Thank you guys so much. Your support means the world to me. Thank you to everybody who's watching. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thank you to my patrons, Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Dainty B, Lori H, Sidra Z, Colleen L, Debbie E, Justa Jude, Kate O, Sonia P, and a special thank you to my $25 patrons, D. Higgins and Oceana Song.